Good evening to you, everybody. I'm Danilo Evangelista, and welcome to the Hurricane Hub discussion for Thursday, May 31st, 2023, the final off-season, official off-season discussion of the Atlantic Basin. Not, of course, off-season the Hurricane Hub, because we ended that several weeks ago, but, of course, the official off-season day for the Atlantic, as tomorrow is June 1st, the official start of the Atlantic, and, of course, we have our things tomorrow, which we'll be going over later on, of course, touching upon later on in the video. But as for right now, you notice by the title card, Invest 91L is formed in the Atlantic, and it is potentially heading towards Florida and bringing at least some rain for that area. And we could take a look at the NHC and Invest 91L on the map in the Gulf of Mexico as of 8 p.m. And you could see in the eastern Gulf of Mexico, AL91. You notice that in the tropical weather bulletin there. That's a new feature that the NHC is doing this year, where they're kind of adding to the tropical weather bulletins of the AOIs that have invest tagged to them. And I honestly think that it was very much time for them to do that, because, of course, sometimes it can get a little confusing, especially when we have multiple area of interests out there. More or less specifically, that'll probably be the case towards the peak. And sometimes it could be a little tricky trying to keep up of which one is which. So I think kind of adding the designation to the tropical weather bulletin is neat. Very nice, and, of course, a very good feature that could come in handy towards the peak. But, of course, as for right now, it is being designated 2020, a low chance for development over the next 48 hours and 7 days. And if we go back to the 7-day outlook, because I had a reset before because I was recording before, but of course that didn't go well. But I have here on the tropical weather bulletin, in the for the next 7 days, you could see the hatched area in the Gulf of Mexico. And very interesting, if you remember yesterday, it was kind of also outlining the Bahamas, the western Bahamas as well. That's kind of shifted and kind of shrink towards the Gulf of Mexico today, so maybe representing a little less model certainty of this trying to develop, at least for today. And I guess you could see why. This is the current satellite view of 91L. Now it has, of course, its own sector in the satellite, since it is an area of interest tagged by, of course, the National Hurricane Center. And you notice in the Gulf of Mexico, there's definitely some spin. You can see the low-level clouds. You can kind of see that turning there. There is definitely some spin there for sure, in the atmosphere, and low-level spin as well. But the thing that is most important, especially when it comes to the developing system, is its structure. And take a look at its structure, all kind of fanned out, and you can see this comma-shaped, very not very much indeed not really indicating anything tropical of nature. More, if anything, subtropical, but not even that, more or less non-tropical too, because there's no real convective activity in the center. It's kind of just this huge elongated mess. With a subtropical system, yes, you could have it more elongated, but there still has to be something kind of confined to the center with its organization, and of course that is not the case here. And in terms of intensity forecast as well, this is something a new kind of map that you'll see as well throughout the season, specifically with invests, of course, by Tropical Tidbits by Levi Cowan. This is the Invest 91L model intensity guidance, initialized as of 0Z on June 1st. Yes, it is already in Universal Standard Time. It is already June 1st, so already kind of beginning the hurricane season there in that aspect. And of course, it is 9 o'clock here in the Eastern Time, in the East Coast, at least from when I'm recording this. So it is still May the 31st for us, but I'm pretty sure it's only a few hours till midnight, June 1st anyway. So there's not really much difference, but that's besides the point. What I'm trying to get at is look at the intensity guidance, and you notice all of them throughout the entire forecast period. I think going up to maybe 120 hours out. I'm not too sure, because they go by 6-hour intervals. Is that right? No, they're going by over here. They're actually going by 24-hour intervals over here. So yes, this would be 120 hours. And they all have this below tropical storm intensity. By the way, this map is in knots, not miles per hour. So 35 knots, our threshold would be converted to for 40 miles an hour, which is the threshold for tropical storm intensity, and all the model intensity guidance members are below that. And the track as well. The track guidance for the models as well, not really showing anything that would seem very organized, kind of just dipping southward into the Gulf of Mexico and into either Cuba or the Bay of Campeche. I believe this one is the GFS model, if I'm not mistaken, and I forgot what this one is. But bottom line, both models kind of taking this southward, and doesn't seem like anything that would be tropical or subtropical in nature, especially in the Gulf of Mexico, would it? And we could take a look at the Euro ensembles too. And if you remember yesterday on the Euro, so many more of these ensembles kind of showing off the East Coast there. Now we only really have one that shows something develop. And this, by the way, is out to 240 hours. And I mean, I could play the loop if I wanted to, because I believe this is actually associated with something different. But I'm going to kind of speed this up so you can kind of see what goes on. And you notice that there's only really one ensemble that kind of shows something trying to get going off the East Coast, which I would assume is associated with the storm. And then we kind of have some still in the Eastern Pacific. If you remember that too, yesterday there was a lot more of that in the Eastern Pacific, but that's besides the point. Not a lot of ensemble support from the European, especially compared to yesterday. So there's definitely some sort of backing off in the models that I did notice, at least today. But very interestingly, of course, if you saw yesterday, I think there was something in the MDR, or at least one of them, the ensembles this morning. I saw something there in the MDR, kind of still there, but of course nothing to be concerned. It is only, by the time we get to this point, it'll only be June 10th anyway. And then really quickly, very interesting, up here in the northeastern Atlantic, a lot of ensembles there kind of showing something. Probably not going to be much of concern anyway, because it's subtropical and it's so far north, probably is not anything non-tropical. It's probably not anything closely tropical at all, so wouldn't be concerned about it trying to develop. But as I did mention before, there is spin in the atmosphere representing in this model, not model, map, yeah, that's what I meant to say, 850 millibar vorticity. And if you do not know what I mean by that, is just think about the spin, counterclockwise spin, rotation in the atmosphere, 5,000 feet up. That's what 850 millibars is. 5,000 feet up in height in the atmosphere, from sea level, of course. 5,000 feet up in the atmosphere, and what do we see? Well, we see a bunch of these reds and these dark oranges getting closer towards reds, and of course, the higher on the scale we go, the more vorticity there is in the atmosphere. And we definitely have that in the Gulf. Remember seeing the satellite image earlier, a bunch of low-level clouds kind of turning a little bit in the Gulf, so there's definitely some vorticity there. So I would say, in the aspect of the downfall being this, is maybe not as much the vorticity or cyclonic spin signature, but more or less the atmosphere, because we talked about it earlier with the model support kind of dropping. But kind of look at this, the wind shear as well. At least this is for right now, but you see a bunch of these reds denoting unfavorable wind shear. And this is, of course, both of these maps, being by University of Wisconsin, really good website, one of my favorites. If you know me by now, you know that indeed is my favorite website. And really, this is a good tool to look at. And you do see in the Gulf of Mexico a lot of reds denoting a lot of high wind shear, and we know that is not favorable for tropical cyclone development. And if you didn't know, now you know. Reds, high wind shear, not really favorable for tropical cyclone development. You would usually want to see a lot more of these greens that we see over here. That is lower wind shear, upper level winds that are not strong, which would help for vertical stacking of thunderstorms, which indeed helps for tropical cyclone development. And that's not what we see in the Gulf right now where this is. So that is definitely an unfavorable atmosphere type of situation going on for it. There. Damn, that was my dog. But it is something that we'll definitely watch as we get towards Florida later this week. Whether or not it develops, we'll still have to see. But something that we will be doing is tomorrow at June 1st, 7 o'clock. If you've been with me for the last few days, you know I've been promoting this quite a bit. At June 1st, though, tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, join us because I'm going to be doing a day one discussion of the hurricane season for 2023. In fact, at the conclusion of this video, when I post it, I will actually post the live stream chat for the video for the live stream tomorrow. So definitely tune in for that. I'm going to include new predictions, yes, for the Atlantic and the Eastern and Central Pacific too, I think. But the Atlantic and the Pacific, I will include predictions, not the Western Pacific, though. I don't do that basin. I more or less track it when there's something big going on there. I'm more of a Atlantic and Pacific kind of guy. Of course, I'm focusing on Mexico and the Caribbean, and of course us here, most presumably most of us in the United States anyway. But of course, shout out to our viewers that are elsewhere. And of course, we're going to talk about 91L since that is a thing, included in hurricane discussion, and of course some climate stuff as well relating to hurricane season, obviously, and maybe kind of going a little bit off topic, but whatever. And fun trivia. As I always like to say, you can't always have serious things in life. So we're going to have a little fun tomorrow. I'm going to have some of my friends on in the weather community. You may know some of them. So definitely come in, say hi, enjoy, and have fun with us. It's going to be fun. We're going to go for about 2 hours, I think, tomorrow, of course, starting at 7 o'clock. So if you're not subscribed yet, subscribe and tune in. Because I bet you we're going to have fun and you will not regret it. Or at least I hope you won't. Or at least I'll try my best, of course, to make tomorrow fun. But definitely tune in, spend some time with us. Look at my new predictions. I'm gonna showcase that, and probably will post a video about my predictions a few days afterward. If you wouldn't be able to catch it tomorrow night, but of course tomorrow night's stream would be saved onto my channel for rewatching at later notice if you ever decide to do so, or if you're not able to join. But still, join if you can anyways. But that's going to wrap it up for this discussion for this evening. Enjoy the rest of your night. Stay safe. I will post a video tomorrow morning. Since I'm off from school tomorrow, I will post a video then. And I'll probably promote tomorrow night as well, and really quickly go over 91L tomorrow morning then. But of course, join us as well for tomorrow night as well. Hope to see you then, and hope you have a good night.